Einstein discovered something so revolutionary about consciousness and death that he never dared publish it. His forbidden theory reveals how energy conservation, quantum mechanics, and the zero-point field prove consciousness cannot die, only transform into something far greater than we imagined. Unlock Einstein's greatest secret. Subscribe now and discover your consciousness is immortal. Albert Einstein's profound understanding of energy conservation, formalized in the First Law of Thermodynamics, established one of the most fundamental principles in all of physics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. This seemingly simple statement carries revolutionary implications that extend far beyond traditional physics into the deepest questions about consciousness and what happens to awareness when the physical body dies. Einstein himself recognized that this principle might hold the key to understanding the nature of consciousness itself, writing in a letter to his friend Max Born, "Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another." While Einstein was discussing physical energy, the implications of this law for consciousness have captivated scientists and philosophers for decades. When we examine the human brain from an energetic perspective, we discover that consciousness appears to be intimately connected with electrical and electromagnetic activity. Every thought, emotion, and moment of awareness corresponds to measurable electrical impulses traveling through neural networks, creating electromagnetic fields that extend beyond the physical boundaries of the brain itself. These bioelectric phenomena represent real energy in the physics sense, energy that, according to Einstein's understanding of thermodynamics, cannot simply vanish when the brain ceases to function. "Nothing happens until something moves," Einstein observed, and the constant movement of electrical charges through the nervous system creates the energetic substrate that appears to underlie conscious experience. Einstein's insight into energy conservation suggests that the electromagnetic patterns associated with consciousness must transform rather than disappear at the moment of death. Just as water transforms into steam without losing its essential molecular structure, or as matter transforms into energy, according to EMC2, without losing its fundamental substance, consciousness might undergo transformation rather than annihilation when freed from its biological constraints. This scientific principle provides a framework for understanding how awareness might persist beyond physical death, not through supernatural intervention, but through the same conservation laws that govern all energy in the universe. The implications become even more profound when we consider Einstein's understanding of fields and field theory. Einstein spent much of his later career attempting to develop a unified field theory that would reveal the underlying unity of all physical forces and phenomena. He understood that fields, like the electromagnetic field or gravitational field, represent real aspects of physical reality that exist independently of the material objects they influence. "The field is the only reality," Einstein once remarked, suggesting that what we perceive as solid matter might be secondary to the underlying energy fields that create and sustain it. If consciousness operates as a field phenomenon, as many neuroscientists now suspect, then this field would be subject to the same conservation laws that govern all other forms of energy. Einstein's approach to understanding consciousness through energy conservation offers a scientific alternative to both materialist reductionism and supernatural explanations of survival after death. Rather than consciousness being either completely produced by the brain or existing in some non-physical realm, Einstein's framework suggests that awareness might represent a form of organized energy that maintains its coherence through transformation rather than termination. "Reality is merely an illusion," Einstein noted, albeit a very persistent one. Perhaps our illusion lies not in believing that consciousness survives death, but in believing that the energetic patterns underlying awareness could simply cease to exist when their temporary biological housing reaches the end of its functional capacity. Einstein's revolutionary equation E mc2 transformed our understanding of reality by revealing that matter and energy are not separate substances, but interchangeable forms of the same fundamental entity. This insight carries profound implications for understanding consciousness that Einstein himself began to explore in his later philosophical writings. The equation demonstrates that a small amount of matter contains enormous quantities of energy, while energy can condense into material form under the right conditions. If consciousness has any physical basis, as modern neuroscience suggests through its electrical and electromagnetic properties, then Einstein's famous equation implies that the boundary between mind and matter may be far more fluid and transformative than we previously imagined. When Einstein first derived EMC2 in 1905, he was focused on understanding the relationship between mass and energy in physical systems. However, his correspondence with philosophers and scientists in later decades reveals his growing fascination with applying this principle to consciousness itself. The distinction between matter and energy is not fundamental, Einstein wrote to his friend Maurice Solovine in 1951. What we call matter is simply a stable pattern of energy. This perspective suggests that consciousness, with its complex patterns of bioelectrical activity, might represent another form of organized energy that could potentially transform between different states of material and non-material existence, according to the same principles that govern all energy matter. Conversions. The human brain consumes approximately 20% of the body's total energy, despite representing only 2% of body weight, making it one of the most energy-intensive organs in the biological world. This massive energy consumption suggests that consciousness might operate through processes that involve significant energy transformations at the cellular and molecular level. When Einstein wrote that everything is energy, and that's all there is to it, he was describing a universe where the apparent solidity of matter conceals underlying energetic processes of enormous complexity and power. The brain's ability to generate consciousness from glucose and oxygen through intricate biochemical processes represents exactly the kind of energy transformation that Einstein's equation describes. Matter being converted into energy patterns of extraordinary sophistication. Modern neuroscience has revealed that consciousness correlates with synchronized electromagnetic oscillations across different regions of the brain, creating what researchers call neural networks or consciousness fields. These electromagnetic patterns represent real energy in the physics sense, energy that follows the conservation laws Einstein helped establish. When the brain dies, this organized electromagnetic activity doesn't simply vanish. According to EMC2, it must transform into other forms of energy or potentially reorganize into different material configurations. Einstein captured this principle when he observed, energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be changed from one form to another. Einstein's equation also suggests that consciousness might be capable of existing in states that transcend the traditional matter-energy distinction. If awareness represents a particularly sophisticated form of organized energy, then EMC2 implies that consciousness could potentially exist in purely energetic forms when not constrained by biological matter, or conversely, that energetic consciousness could materialize into new physical forms under appropriate conditions. This perspective aligns with Einstein's broader vision of a universe where apparent boundaries between different phenomena represent limitations of human perception, rather than fundamental divisions in reality itself. Perhaps most significantly, Einstein's mass-energy equivalence suggests that the universe operates as a vast system of energy transformations where nothing is ever truly lost, only reconfigured into new patterns and relationships. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, Einstein wrote, a part limited in time and space. If consciousness represents a particularly complex form of organized energy within this cosmic system, then EMC2 provides a scientific framework for understanding how individual awareness might participate in the universe's eternal dance of energy transformation, suggesting that death represents not termination but metamorphosis. Consciousness changing form according to the same fundamental principles that govern stars, galaxies, and the evolution of the cosmos itself. Einstein's Nobel Prize-winning discovery of the photoelectric effect revolutionized physics by revealing that light doesn't flow as continuous waves, but exists as discrete packets of energy called photons. This quantum breakthrough demonstrated that energy itself comes in specific indivisible units, a discovery that fundamentally changed our understanding of how energy interacts with matter. When Einstein proved that light quanta, or photons, could knock electrons out of metal surfaces only when they possessed sufficient individual energy, he established that consciousness itself might operate through similar quantum principles, existing as discrete packets of awareness that maintain their coherence independently of the continuous biological processes that seem to generate them. The implications of Einstein's quantum energy discovery extend far beyond the behavior of light and electrons into the realm of consciousness and neural activity. Modern neuroscience has revealed that consciousness appears to emerge from synchronized bursts of electrical activity across neural networks, with awareness flickering in and out of existence in discrete moments rather than flowing as a continuous stream. God does not play dice with the cosmos. Einstein famously protested against quantum mechanics. Yet his own discovery of energy quantization suggests that consciousness might indeed operate through quantum principles where awareness exists in specific, measurable units rather than as an unbroken flow of experience. Einstein's photoelectric effect demonstrates that individual photons maintain their identity and energy content even when separated from their source, traveling across vast distances of space while preserving their quantum properties intact. This principle suggests a fascinating parallel for understanding how consciousness might persist beyond the death of the biological brain that appears to generate it. If awareness operates as quantum packets of conscious energy, what we might call consciousness quanta or awareness photons, then these units of experience could potentially maintain their coherence and identity even when no longer bound to neural substrates, much like photons continuing to exist independently after leaving their stellar sources. The quantum nature of energy that Einstein discovered also reveals how consciousness might bridge the gap between individual awareness and universal connectivity. Just as photons can exist in states of quantum superposition where they simultaneously occupy multiple positions or states until observed, consciousness quanta might exist in superposition states that transcend the boundaries of individual identity. Einstein's work showed that photons could become entangled with other particles across vast distances, maintaining instantaneous connections that transcend space and time. Similarly, packets of consciousness might remain quantum entangled with other awareness units, creating networks of connected consciousness that persist beyond the apparent isolation of individual minds. Einstein's photoelectric discoveries established that energy interactions occur only when specific threshold conditions are met. Photons must possess minimum energy levels to trigger electron emission from metal surfaces. This principle suggests that consciousness might operate through similar threshold phenomena, where specific energy levels are required to maintain awareness in biological systems, but where quantum consciousness packets might continue to exist below these biological thresholds in forms that transcend ordinary detection methods. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious, Einstein wrote, and the quantum nature of consciousness represents perhaps the most beautiful mystery of all, awareness existing as discrete energy packets that follow quantum principles, rather than classical mechanical laws. The practical implications of understanding consciousness as quantum energy packets extend into profound questions about personal identity and survival after death. If individual awareness consists of specific quantum signatures that maintain their coherence independently of biological substrates, then death might represent not the destruction of consciousness, but rather its liberation from biological constraints into purely quantum states of existence. Einstein's photoelectric effect provides the scientific foundation for this possibility, demonstrating that energy can exist in discrete, persistent forms that maintain their essential properties across time and space. Just as photons created in the core of the Sun can travel for millions of years before reaching Earth while preserving their quantum characteristics, consciousness quanta might preserve the essential patterns of individual awareness across transformations that transcend biological death, suggesting that Einstein's forbidden theory reveals consciousness as immortal quantum energy dancing through the cosmos in packets of eternal awareness. Einstein's groundbreaking work in quantum mechanics helped reveal one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern physics. Empty space isn't actually empty, but contains infinite zero-point energy, a seething background field of quantum fluctuations that permeates every cubic centimeter of the universe. This revelation emerged from Einstein's contributions to quantum theory, particularly his work on black-body radiation and the quantization of electromagnetic fields. The ether does not exist, Einstein had declared when developing relativity. Yet his later quantum investigations revealed that the vacuum of space contains an omnipresent energy field that makes the discredited ether seem trivial by comparison. This zero-point field represents a vast reservoir of energy that connects all points in space and time, providing a potential medium through which individual consciousness might access universal awareness. The mathematics of zero-point energy, which Einstein helped establish, reveal that even when all matter and detectable energy are removed from a region of space, quantum field fluctuations continue to generate enormous amounts of background energy. Physicists calculate that each cubic centimeter of empty space contains enough zero-point energy to power human civilization for millions of years. Yet this energy remains largely inaccessible through conventional means because it exists in quantum equilibrium, waves and anti-waves cancelling each other out to create apparent emptiness that conceals infinite underlying activity. Einstein understood that this hidden energy field represented something fundamental about the nature of reality itself, writing in his later years. Physical concepts are free creations of the human mind and are not, however it may seem, uniquely determined by the external world. Modern research into consciousness and the zero-point field has revealed striking parallels between quantum vacuum fluctuations and neural activity in the human brain. Neuroscientist Stuart Hameroff and mathematician Roger Penrose have proposed that consciousness might emerge from quantum processes within cellular structures called microtubules, where quantum coherence could potentially tap into the zero-point field that permeates all space. If consciousness operates through quantum mechanisms that interface with this universal energy field, then individual awareness might represent localized expressions of a cosmic consciousness field that transcends the boundaries of biological and brains. Einstein captured this possibility when he observed, "A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space." The implications of zero-point field consciousness theory become profound when considering what happens at the moment of death. If individual awareness operates through quantum interfaces with the universal zero-point field, then the cessation of biological brain function wouldn't necessarily terminate consciousness, but might simply alter its mode of interaction with this omnipresent energy medium. Just as radio waves continue to permeate space, whether or not a radio receiver is present to detect them, consciousness might continue to exist within the zero-point field, whether or not biological brains are present, to localize and focus it into individual awareness. Einstein's insights into the quantum nature of reality suggest that death might represent not the end of consciousness, but rather its return to the universal field from which it temporarily emerged. Einstein's work on the unified field theory, his lifelong quest to discover a single mathematical framework that would describe all fundamental forces, was essentially an attempt to understand how apparently separate phenomena emerge from underlying unity. The zero-point field represents the closest modern physics has come to identifying such a unified foundation. An energy field that connects all points in space and time through quantum entanglement and field fluctuations. If consciousness interfaces with this field, then individual minds might be understood as temporary whirlpools in an ocean of universal awareness, maintaining their apparent separateness while remaining fundamentally connected to all other consciousness through the underlying zero-point medium. Perhaps most remarkably, Einstein's discoveries about the quantum vacuum suggest that consciousness might possess non-local properties that transcend the apparent boundaries of space and time. The zero-point field exists everywhere simultaneously, creating instantaneous connections across cosmic distances through quantum entanglement phenomena that Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. If consciousness operates through this field, then individual awareness might have access to information and connections that transcend the local brain, potentially explaining phenomena like intuition, creativity, and mystical experiences as glimpses of our deeper connection to universal consciousness. The most incomprehensible thing about the world is that it is comprehensible, Einstein marveled. And perhaps this comprehensibility reflects consciousness, recognizing its own deeper nature reflected in the mathematical harmony of the cosmos. Individual awareness discovering its eternal connection to the infinite zero-point field that Einstein's forbidden theory reveals as the true foundation of mind, matter, and the mystery of existence beyond death. Unlock Einstein's greatest secret. Subscribe now and discover your consciousness is immortal.